with Scott Theisen and Drew DeArmond. Call into the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline now, 256-576-4977. That's 256-576-4977. Now, here's Scott and Drew.
We're ready to go. It's a brand new live edition of Talking Ball. It's a Halloween edition, a Monday edition, live in studio. It is Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN, The Zone. We're going to be in the chairs for the next 2 hours, and should be a great day for those that enjoy getting out, enjoying some trick-or-treating. There were not some good treats handed out yesterday in the world of college football. North Alabama making a change last night. They announced, Dr. Josh Looney did, that they were parting ways with Chris Willis as their head coach. 1-7 this season are the Lions. Coach Willis finishes 20-34 as head coach of the Lions in 6 seasons. Former Nebraska Cornhusker offensive coordinator, a member of the national championship team of the Nebraska, Ryan Held, will take over as associate. He was the associate head coach, offensive coordinator. He'll take over as the interim coach for the final 3 games for the Lions. But our good friend Chris Willis, no longer head coach of North Alabama. That is tough because he took this program from Division II to Division I, tried to make some progress, but in the end, just not enough.
Nope. I mean, they had hired a new athletic director who was transitioning the program into FCS competition. Again, they lost 64-29 on the road at Central Arkansas. They couldn't quite get over the hump. It was very difficult because Coach Willis came in as an assistant in 2002, under Mark Hudspeth, and then he was there and worked his way up to defensive coordinator and eventually became the head coach for 6 years. So he's been at UNA 21 years, a long time. So he's been a fixture over there. And spent most of his professional career in our state and at that university. So we appreciate him. We appreciate his candidness with us and his openness and his willingness to come on our radio station. And we'll always love talking football with him. Hate that he couldn't, get this program rolling in FCS. He saw him through a very difficult time period where for about 5 years they couldn't compete for a conference title, and they were kind of in limbo. And they didn't really know what conference they were going to be in for a lot of that. They were in the Big South for it just seemed like 2 seconds. And now they're going to be in the A-Sun, but couldn't quite see them through the transition. But again, I'm sure Dr. Josh Looney has an idea of where he wants to take the program, and there needs to be some facility upgrades at UNA. There's no question about that if they want to compete. And it reminds me of when Jacksonville State made the move from a Division II power like UNA has been to go into FCS competition, and it took several years before Jacksonville State became a perennial playoff contender and championship contender in FCS, and now they're going up to FBS, which is going to be really interesting into Conference USA. So we'll see how long it takes Rich Rod to make them competitive. And Greg Seitz and those guys, the athletic director, but going to be interesting to see what UNA does going forward because, again, you're going to have to invest in the program. You're going to have to do what the South Alabamas and the Troys and all those have done. And they've moved to Division I, but it's just one of those things where you got to spend money, you got to upgrade facilities because there's a lot of good football programs in the state. There's a lot of good FCS programs around the country. And you look at even a program that's really kind of young like Kennesaw State. They're already moving up from FCS to full-time D1 as well. So it's just going to be an interesting time for UNA, and I certainly think their university is growing. As you know, they announced recently went over 10,000 students. So their enrollment is blossoming, and so it's going to be interesting to see their commitment to athletics going forward.
All right. Dr. Josh Looney announcing, though, that they will be doing a national coaching search. So we'll see what comes out of that for North Alabama. All right, 256-576-4977. That's the number to the program if you want to join us. It's your good, the bad, the ugly from over the weekend. Report card Monday. You can weigh in on what you saw over the weekend. And if you were down on the plains on Saturday after the game, these are comments that Brian Harsin left us with.
Brian, you're talking about the kind of losing part, contagious part. What's been different from starting 6-2 last year to 3-10 the last 13 games? What's been the difference in that from a team standpoint?
Yeah, well, I don't think we have quite our finger on it right now as we change that. There's things that we see in every practice. It's not every game. It's everything we do. It's everything we do. It's the amount of time we spend preparing ourselves. It's the commitment to what we're doing. It's the planning that the coaches and everybody puts in. It's the execution. It's football. I mean, really, at the end of the day, we're not playing good football. And I really believe that. I think that's the one thing. I think good football wins games. And great things will happen when you play good football. All right? So when you are able to stay ahead of the chains on offense, when you're able to make the plays on defense, when you have a chance to make those plays, all right, they don't become explosives. I think that's another factor in the game as well. There were some explosive plays, and those become touchdowns.
Brian Harsin there after the team's setback, after the team's 41-27 setback against Arkansas. Can't quite put a finger on the difference between last year and this year.
The difference is they don't have enough good players. They didn't do a good enough job in the transfer portal, and that wasn't all his fault because there was some support waning for him after the 6-2 start when they lost the 5 straight. But, I mean, of the players they do have, I don't think they've done a good enough job as a staff developing those guys. Certainly they've had some guys get banged up, but I don't really think that's the biggest issue. Certainly it didn't help them to take Zach Calzada, and Zach Calzada was injured. I mean, I know that that when you look at it, they were saying he needed to get healthy and all that, but
yeah.
I'm not sure that they knew exactly how injured Zach Calzada was, because I never bought the fact that he came in and was all of a sudden third and not pushing for the starting job. I just think from the jump he wasn't healthy, because I've seen enough, and Ashford has had some bright moments. I honestly thought he played pretty decent on Saturday.
Right.
It certainly wasn't his fault that Auburn didn't win this game and lost decisively. I mean, right now, the thing is, the one thing you can blame Harsin and his staff on is since that 6-2 start, and that's kind of what Jason Caldwell was getting at, I mean, the entire football team's gone backwards. It's not just the quarterback position. Tank Bigsby's not, who we thought he was. The offensive line's not been very good. And
Defensively, they have
and defensively, they've, I thought going into the season based on their personnel, and they haven't had a bunch of guys get hurt. I mean, they've had some guys get nicked and all that, but I thought they had personnel to be in the top 5 in the SEC, which that's the reason I didn't pick them last in the division. I thought they could win 7 or 8 games, just being a football team that could be efficient running it, don't turn it over. Of course, all this was prefaced on Zach Calzada being the quarterback, in my opinion. But I still thought, okay, they got a good enough defense, and they've got a good kicker because Anders was coming back, from his ACL, and they got their punter back. You're thinking, this will be an old school kind of team. What I mean by old school, they're not going to be, a spread team throwing the ball 45 times a game, but they can run, play defense, special teams, and, they can win 8 games. But the problem is, defensively, they've gone backwards. It is just awful. They can't. I mean, they've given up over 1,000 yards rushing in the last 3 games.
Yeah.
I mean,
no, you're right. Yes.
If you can't stop the run, Scott, I don't care. Football's still football.
Right.
If you can't run it and you can't stop it, you're dead in the water.
Right.
It doesn't matter how many times you throw, if you're Mike Leach or whatever, if you can't, and people throwing 50 times, 60 times a game, whatnot. If you can't run the ball and stop the run, it's still the old school football way, you are dead. You just can't, there's no way you're going to win. And they just don't have enough dudes. It is damning. He's had over 60% of the signees that he's brought in the 2 classes, because he took over late and brought in some people in that class, and then the class he signed last year, they're all leaving.
No, yeah. And you bring up that rushing defense right now. Out of 131 teams in the country, Auburn sits 127th and allowing 214 yards a game
You just can't.
to the opponent on the ground.
You just can't. I mean, and they've stayed in every game. It's not like they just got housed like right away.
Right.
And pretty much Penn State game, I think it was 14-6 at halftime. It was 17-13 in the early third quarter of this Arkansas game. And then Arkansas just said, okay, we're going to run it 12 straight times.
Yeah.
And
we're going to break your will.
Yeah, and we're just going to pound it down your throat. And Auburn can't do anything about it.
Nope.
I mean, so to me, it's the Jimmies and the Joes, but it's also, I think, this coaching staff that he brought in. Now he did hire Cadillac Williams and Jimmy Brumbaugh, and
But the defensive coordinator is his guy. That
and the offensive coordinator.
Yep.
Yeah,
all his.
I mean, he brought in Will Friend. Will Friend's been in the SEC. You know, I mean, I just don't understand. I mean, I'm just telling you, a lot of his coaching staff is in over their heads, I think, and they're just not very good. And then they have not been able to recruit very well. I don't think Harsin understood how to recruit in this league. And so, and just because, and again, it's not about being from the South or all that kind of stuff. Because Nick Saban wasn't when he came to LSU. He'd been in the Big Ten, but he was a great recruiter. This dude is not a great recruiter, man. I don't think he was a great recruiter at Boise State from the people you talk about there, because when you go back and look at it, yeah, he averaged 9 wins a year or whatever, but it wasn't what Chris Peterson did. And he blew a lot of games where he was the favorite, and they weren't like, it's not like they were competing like a group of 5 like Cincinnati was.
Yeah.
Like
they weren't up there
where they're trying to get into playoffs. I think he was just good, not great. You know what I'm saying? And so it's just one of those things, just been a bad fit.
All right, I know the phone lines are burning up. We got a lot of good, the bad, the ugly. That's probably one of the uglies from the weekend. The good has to be the way Tennessee manhandled Kentucky inside Neyland Stadium.
That was a mauling, okay?
Yeah.
That was an absolute ass whipping. I mean, I watched a lot of it, and then I had to turn it because it was just a massacre. And I had to go watch Texas A&M blow another one. I had to.
Oh, Lane Kiffin full of surprises in that one as well.
Yeah, the Joker and everything.
All right, we got a lot to get to. I know we got a lot of phone calls. They're piling up. Let's get to Brandon real fast this morning. Good morning, Brandon.
What's up, man?
Okay, I called you before and it was dead silence. I was making sure somebody was there.
Yeah, we're here.
Y'all were talking about Kennesaw State. That's where I got my diploma from.
Right.
And they're going to transfer to big boy football.
They are.
Better come up with a better offense than what they got, or we're going to look like Jimbo Fisher.
Well, I mean, I'm sure they understand that. I mean, it's a big jump. I mean, yeah. I mean, they were the favorite in the A-Sun, I think, this year going into this season.
Yeah, I think it's great for us because that school's always been more of a transitory school.
Right.
Commuters and people, but I mean, they're encroaching 40,000 on registration for the year. And God, it's going to be big for these kids around here. The kids that don't want to go to Athens and the kids that can't get into Georgia Tech because they can't afford it.
Right.
You're actually going to be able to go somewhere and play some big-time football where you're going to be seen on TV on Saturdays. I think it's one of the biggest things to happen for the metro Atlanta area in football in probably the last 50 years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Really looking forward to it. They never thought I'd see this day come. I mean, they've come so far in the last 10 years that it's amazing. I feel like they've fast-forwarded 30 years in 10 years.
I mean, that's true. They really have been on the fast track. You're right, because for the longest time it was a baseball school.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, absolutely. That was the baseball destination around here.
Yeah.
It was kind of the mid-level place where you go if you were too good to be a really small school, but you wasn't quite big enough to go to LSU, Alabama, and Georgia. And I'm just really tickled about it, man. I'm just to see that we're going to have a school that size. I mean, 20 years from now, I don't know if they'll ever go full D1 with the big boys and try to jump into a conference. But I mean, after what they've done, getting this far, it's amazing to me. And did y'all see the story about the Louisiana high school coaches over the weekend?
Yeah, I saw it about the verbal altercation that turned physical, and then they've suspended some coaches. Yeah,
8 of them.
Yep.
You wiped out the entire coaching staff for the year.
Yeah.
Who in the world lets a situation with 8 coaches get that out of control?
I have
that's crazy. That's crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy. It was no doubt it was nuts,
good.
man.
Do you have a good, the bad, the ugly from the weekend?
Yes, the good was that Lane Kiffin was all over Jimbo Fisher. I
Yes.
loved it. I was hoping he would just throw a mustard ball at him. It would have absolutely made my day. The bad is that we had some teens from around here up in Chattooga County. They were headed back, and I think one of them was a football player for Chattooga County High School. They died in a car crash.
Yeah, I saw
And,
that. 3 of them, yeah.
It was very disappointing. The ugly is that Drew DeArmond's got 200 pairs of shoes, and not a single one of them high heels.
Nope. Afraid not.
Ah, Brandon, thanks for the phone call.
Thank you.
We'll get into more on that here in a little bit. Jeff from the Borough with us this morning as well. Good morning, Jeff.
Good morning.
You guys talking about Kennesaw? Of course, they're going to join the Conference USA.
They are.
Bylaws. You have to have football to be in the conference.
Yeah, yeah.
If you don't have it, if you don't have football, you can't be in the conference.
That's right.
Because when Middle was in the Sun Belt, Arkansas Little Rock was in the conference, and but Denver was too. But Arkansas Little Rock didn't have football, and they still don't. And they were going to kick them out of the Sun Belt because of it. Because they didn't have football. They were going to kick them out of the league. They were going to vote and kick. They never did. They was going to. I guess somebody stopped it or whatever. They didn't. But it's in their bylaws. You have to have. That's one of the requirements. You have to have football. I think it's dumb, but that's just the way the conference works. It don't really make much difference there. But that's just the way it goes. I think they'll have 10 when they join. They'll have 10 members. They'll have 10 schools. As far as when they get in, so and everything. But and all that stuff. But as far as you take a Tennessee game when you don't protect your quarterback and you turn it over 3 times, that's going to happen. But Tennessee's got a great football team. But Heupel is personal with him. He got fired by Bob Stoops fired him, so he hates the whole Stoops family now. And he's just like Peyton Manning. He didn't win the Heisman, so he's pissed off about that. He's pissed off like Manning's going to take it to his grave. He never won it, and Heupel will too. He was a left-handed quarterback, and the greatest left-handed quarterback was not him. It was Ken Stabler. Played at Alabama in the NFL. For the Raiders of Al Davis. It wasn't Josh Heupel. He wasn't no left-handed great. He thinks he isn't that offense he's got, but we'll find out in Athens Saturday. If they win Saturday, they'll be in the playoffs. They'll have a chance for a national championship. If they don't, they won't. It's simple as that. They're playing for the playoffs Saturday. It's just as simple. If they win, they'll be in Atlanta. If they don't, they won't. That's what they're playing for. So, they can run their mouth and beating Kentucky and all this junk. Mark Stoops' name is on the thread over there talking about bashing and beating him. He ain't done nothing to Kentucky. His record ain't no good and all this crap like you guys do anyway, everything else. So, we ain't done nothing in football and all this stuff. So like I said, we'll keep fighting and scratching whatever we got to do. And everything else. And I saw Scott Howell score some points this weekend. Is Joni Ernst's offensive coordinator or is it Chuck Grassley? Hang in there, babe.
Well, Chuck Grassley, I've met Chuck Grassley, so don't worry about it.
Well, all I know is this.
They played Northwestern.
There is no way
points,
in the world, unless all these front offices want to get fired, that Will Levis is a first-round draft choice.
He had like 90-some yards passing Saturday. He looked
no possible way. You understand me? If Malik Willis, he had first-round buzz, and we all saw how that went. Right. He ended up in the 3rd round. That's about Will Levis's speed. 3rd or 4th round project. There is no way. If you draft him in the 1st round, just fire yourself. There's no way. I don't care how big he is. I don't care if he can throw it 80 yards. He has no feel for the position, and he's not an elite quarterback. No way. If somebody drafts him ahead of Bryce Young, they ought to take a baseball bat, and they ought to just
come on.
Yeah. No, you're saying lobotomy.
Yes.
I'm saying Sopranos. Just break his legs and then drag him off.
Hey,
okay.
To be fair, he had zero help.
Well,
no, I'll say this: the play calling,
some good young receivers.
The play calling on Saturday, the Kentucky play calling was left to be desired on Saturday. They did not put Will Levis in great situations.
His offensive line is not a great pass blocking group. But again, I've seen enough of it, though. Okay, he doesn't have a feel for the position. He has tools, and he's like. I will say what he is, though. He is a tough SOB because he got beat to. I mean, he's had his shoulder injured. He's had his ankle injured. He's had his knee injured. I mean, his fingers. I mean, he's had wrist issues. He is a tough dude, okay? He reminds me of a Freddie Kitchens type, Jake Coker, but neither one of them were pros. And I'm not saying that Will Levis is not a good player. I'm just saying all this crap that you hear from these draft analysts saying, I talked to X, Y, and Z, and he's going to be a first-round pick. Hello? Do you want to win a game? Do you want your people employed? Or do you want to be fired like a lot of Democrats coming up on the 8th? Hello? I mean, come on.
It's a Monday morning. It's Halloween. We are fired up. All right. What do we got? We got anyone holding still? No, we're good? Oh, okay. I tell you what, yeah, we do need to get a break.
Talk to someone who saw a good football team.
Yeah, and that would be the Tennessee Volunteers. They looked good, and oh boy. If you didn't guess it, if you watched the broadcast on Saturday, Kirk Herbstreit and Chris Fowler let us know they're playing Georgia this weekend about 5 million times. Jimmy Hyams. Yes, Jimmy Hyams will let us know next.
Biggest football game since the 1998 season, and we'll ask Jimmy about that.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Got a new wreck, 65 northbound at 36. That's in Morgan County near Hartselle. Old Railroad Bed in Capshaw coming in as a no injury. 231 in Bartee Road in Lacey had injuries. 565 eastbound at Madison Boulevard on the ramp also reported as a no injury. Officers, construction workers, and first responders put their lives on the line every time they step on the roadway. Why not make it safer for them? Slow down or move over. It's the law. Captain Nick in the Jordan Lane Popeye Skywatch Traffic Center.
Hi, I'm Capri, and the little thing I love about the Chick-fil-A Grilled Spicy Deluxe is the chicken. They actually put it on the grill, cooked it in the sauce. It's definitely a good grilled spicy sandwich.
Hey, I'm Michelle, and a little thing I love about the Chick-fil-A Grilled Spicy Deluxe is it's spicy and it's full of flavor. When you pair that with the Kale Crunch Salad, it's just good.
Order a grilled spicy deluxe sandwich on the Chick-fil-A app today. Available for a limited time. Real guests paid for their testimonials.
At Mr. Sparky, we're America's on-time electrician. Flickering lights and hot switches can be annoying, but they can also signal a major problem, or worse, an electrical emergency. So play it safe and leave it to the experts at Mr. Sparky. Trust our team of professional, clean, and friendly electricians. We'll get it done right and get it done safely.
You don't have to put up with any malarkey. Call 888-8-SPARKY.
Independently owned and operated, licensed in the respective state or county.
SportsMed is the official team physicians of the Rocket City Trash Pandas. And if the pros trust SportsMed, you can too. SportsMed provides every service you might need for complete orthopedic care, specializing in orthopedic surgery, sports medicine, joint replacement, spine surgery, neurosurgery, and podiatry. And they offer their own brace shop, in-house full-body MRI, physical therapy, walk-in clinic, and so much more. 4 locations and on the web at sportsmedalabama.com. At Bad Daddy's Burger Bar, people call the award-winning burgers totally insane, which is a compliment because Bad Daddy's Burgers are just that, chef-inspired expressions of pure burger amazingness built with premium Angus beef. They're bold and they're bad. Pair one with one of their signature cocktails or assortment of local craft brews. Bad Daddy's Burger Bar, 2317 Memorial Parkway. Check out our menu and even order online at baddaddysburgerbar.com.
Hi, I'm Capri, and the little thing I love about the Chick-fil-A Grilled Spicy Deluxe is the chicken. They actually put it on the grill, cooked it in the sauce. It's definitely a good grilled spicy sandwich.
Hey, I'm Michelle, and a little thing I love about the Chick-fil-A Grilled Spicy Deluxe is it's spicy and it's full of flavor. When you pair that with the Kale Crunch Salad, it's just good.
Order a grilled spicy deluxe sandwich on the Chick-fil-A app today. Available for a limited time. Real guests paid for their testimonials.
Are you in the market for a recreational vehicle? Do you want to get out and see more of this beautiful country? Well, Well, imagine hearing the laughter of your little ones enjoying gooey s'mores by a cozy campfire and making lasting memories with your friends and family from the comfort of a new camper. We can make your dreams come true at Hall's RV. With over 15 years in the camping business, we know how to get our customers into the perfect camper. We have several models and floor plans here for you to choose from, both new and used. We're family owned and operated with fantastic deals and great service. Everyone wants to work with people they can trust, so come on down to Hall's RV and get the deal of a lifetime. We'll treat you right and get you on the road in the camper of your dreams. Visit us on Highway 431 in Albertville. Hall's RVs, where we sell fun. Or see us on the web at www.hallsrvsales.com.
After a long, hot summer, there's nothing quite like the cool, crisp mornings of fall in Huntsville, Alabama. Bobby White back again for Woody Anderson Ford, and it's time to get out there. Whether it's hunting, camping, boating, biking, or kayaking, we've got the F-150 to take you there. It's truck month at Woody Anderson Ford, and we've got 2022 F-150s in stock on the lot, ready for your driveway today. And with your good credit, get financing as low as 2.9% for up to 60 months. This offer ends 10/31. Being the best-selling truck in America for 44 years in a row is no small feat. But I promise you, if you come drive an F-150, you'll understand. Woody Anderson Ford has nearly 100 F-150s to choose from and lots of colors and option packages. One of these is right for you. Truck month at Woody Anderson Ford. Exceptional deals on all our trucks, SUVs, and crossovers. And a great selection of Ford Blue Advantage certified pre-owned vehicles. Woody Anderson Ford, corner of Jordan and Sparkman. Hope to see you soon.
This is Paul Feinbaum. Listen to me coming up today at 2. Now back to Talking Ball with Scott Theisen and Drew DeArmond on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
All right, welcome back. Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN, The Zone. Tennessee, a 44-6 winner over Kentucky Saturday inside Neyland Stadium. And it was an impressive performance by Tennessee, both offensively, which we've come to expect. We expect that. But defensively, Tennessee played a fantastic ball game. And they're going to need to pack that defensive effort up in the suitcase. They're going to need to pack the offensive effort up like they have all season as they take on Georgia this weekend in what has been, since Tennessee got on this roll, the most anticipated game in the East this season by far.
No, it really is. And Jimmy Himes wrote this on his blog, too, and I agree with him. Is that it's the most improved part of the football team, especially their rush defense.
Yeah.
And their defensive line improvement in Rodney Garner in his second tenure with Tennessee. But I just really I think that's the thing that strikes me the most is in the year's improvement. Of course, we know Hendon Hooker. I love Hendon Hooker. We know their offense has improved as well, their running game. They're not getting enough credit for how good they're running it. But defensively, especially up front, they've become much, much better. And we're going to talk about that with our next guest. And, of course, he is the afternoon host of Sports Talk on Sports Radio WNML from 3 to 7 Eastern, 2 to 6 Central. And, of course, you can connect with his blog at sportsradio.WNML.com, and that is Jimmy Himes. Jimmy, welcome back to the show. How are you? Good morning.
Morning, guys. How you doing?
And do you agree with me there that the most surprising and most improved part of this Tennessee team, and I'm not just the defensive line, but the offensive and defensive lines up front, Tennessee has come so far in a year.
You know, it's interesting. The other day, I wrote about Darnell Wright and how improved this offensive line is, and how well they played against Alabama. And now I can write the defensive line is much improved. Look what they did to Kentucky. They're giving up 93, 94 yards per game on the ground.
Right.
Here's the more important stat, because I got in a discussion with somebody who thought the numbers were overrated. Tennessee's given up 2.9 yards rushing per game, rushing per attempt. That's great. Tennessee has had years where they gave up 4.2, 4.4 yards per rush. 2.9 can play anywhere. That's really good. So I think this defensive line has really stepped up. I think there's a good rotation with this group. I think Amari Thomas is better. They've got a lot of folks that are better. Dejon Terry came up with a couple of nice plays the other day, a sack and a blocked extra point. They've got a lot of different people contributing up front. They're staying fresh. The linebackers are solid. The secondary, I thought, had their best game against Kentucky. I've been on their rear end most of the year because I don't think the secondary's played well. But against Kentucky, they were very good.
Yeah, and I think that's been the thing. I mean, we knew offensively this team was going to be good Saturday. They continue just to put it into high gear. They continue to get wide receivers wide open in mismatches and coverages. We knew all that was coming, but defensively, I think that is why people really think going into Saturday that Tennessee can play with Georgia. It's because of the defense.
Well, I think they can play with Georgia, and it went. And I'll modify a little bit. It's not the defense, yes, but the offense too. I don't see anybody slowing them down. I think you mentioned earlier how Tennessee's got receivers running open against anybody.
Yeah,
that includes Alabama, and it certainly includes Kentucky. And those are two of the best defensive-minded coaches in the country, right? Saban and Stoops. I think Tennessee's offensive scheming is just brilliant, and people can't defend it. Now, the defense does give you a better chance. There have been times I remember last year, Tennessee closed within a touchdown of Alabama in the fourth quarter. Then Alabama scored 21 straight points because the defense wilted. I don't think the defense would do that again. And if they have a chance against Georgia late, I think the defense can hold up. I didn't think they could a year ago. Now, having said all that, the defense has had two games this year where they didn't play well at all. Florida and Alabama against Power 5 teams. I'm not counting UT Martin in that group. But against Pitt, against LSU, against Kentucky, the defense was either good to great. And that's the improvement that has got this Tennessee team in the hunt for a national championship.
Yeah, it is. It's just been amazing. And I think we all understand the officiating was questionable, but Tennessee won the game. And I think the biggest reason they did, Jimmy, you just talked about it. For 3 quarters, I thought Alabama ran the ball pretty decently against Tennessee. But I think that they held Gibbs, who I think is as dynamic as any player in the conference, to, I want to say, 3 yards on 2 carries. They stopped the run in the fourth quarter. And then they were able to run it against Alabama for 180, and I think they finished with 177 against Kentucky. This running game, and it's multifaceted. They don't really have a one guy. They've got several that they're using and they're rotating. But the running game, to me, is something that's not getting enough credit for Tennessee this year.
Well, it's a big part of this offense. Yeah, a lot of us want to focus on throwing the football and passing and Hendon Hooker and all that. The running game is also the basis of this. Last year, Tennessee was one of the best running teams in the SEC. This year, they're one of the better running teams in the SEC. And they've got a two-headed monster in Jabari Small and Jalen Wright. And by the way, I think Jalen Wright has surpassed Small as the best running back on the team.
Wow.
I really like what I'm seeing out of him. But they do run the ball effectively. And the interesting thing about Alabama is I thought Alabama actually ran the ball pretty decently for a lot of that game. You pointed out toward the end. Alabama had less than 120 rushing yards.
Yeah, when it came down to it, because they couldn't run it in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, and that surprised me a little bit. Now, Jahmyr Gibbs had over 100, but nobody else really did anything.
Mm-mm.
And so I just think what they're doing defensively, if they can keep this up, and I do think they're gaining a lot of confidence in what they're doing. So that can go a long way. Now, are they as good as Georgia on defense? Of course not. But they're good enough, in my opinion, to make enough stops to beat anybody in the country, and that includes Georgia.
Offensively, it just amazes me, and I want to go back to the open receivers. It amazes me how good the play calling can be, the in-game adjustments that Josh Heupel and his offensive staff make during these games just to continue to put guys in open spots. Jalen Hyatt running wide open in the middle of the backfield there, or downfield, just wide open, 20, 25 yards, continuing to be wide open.
Well, and I think a lot of that's just brilliant play calling and setting up plays. And looking at that first situation where Hyatt was so wide open, you're thinking, how can that happen? Well, Tennessee opened the game, and they stacked Tillman and Hyatt on one side. And so they would both kind of start inside, and then Tillman would break inside, and they threw a couple underneath passes to him. So on this time, Tillman goes inside, Hyatt loops around him, and the cornerback, thinking he's got safety help, releases him, and the safety goes to guard Tillman because Tillman had caught like 3 passes in a row, and that leaves Tillman wide open. And Tennessee did that 2 other times where they fooled the safety and the cornerback thought he had safety coverage, and boom, there's Hyatt wide open. Tennessee obviously saw something in film that they felt like would work. They are really a smart staff that sets up plays and makes great play calls, and just little small nuances where they had little short crossing routes with their receivers and got the defensive backs all confused. I just think that they've done a great job. And it's why this is the best offense in the history of Tennessee football.
Wow, that's saying a lot because David Cutcliffe had some great ones. And talk about the impact of Kelsey Pope being elevated to wide receivers coach. I heard Hyatt just glowingly speaking about him because Hyatt lost his confidence some last year. Pope has helped build him back up. I mean, and I think also they did a lot of this without Tillman. They've got Tillman back now, which is pretty amazing. And then there's and it's just again it's Ramel Keaton. It's not just those two dudes. They've got other guys that have stepped up at key moments. I know it was UT Martin, but Squirrel White. They've got enough weapons too that I think it's going to stress Georgia.
I agree with that. And I think Kelsey Pope has done a wonderful job. And you're right about the relationship with Pope and with Jalen Hyatt. Hyatt lost his job last year. He was dropping too many passes. He lost the job after the Florida game. And so he was playing the slot, and they moved Velus Jones into the slot, and then Jones took off. But Kelsey Pope was right there, putting his arm around Hyatt, encouraging him. And now Hyatt is, in my opinion, the best receiver in the country. I think he should win the Blitnikoff Award. Now, unless something crazy happens. But he's done a great job, and he remains humble. And he got a thrill, by the way, out of meeting Chad Johnson, the former star in the NFL, who came to the game, wore number 5. And by the way, Johnson, give him credit. He went to an IHOP restaurant and left a $1,000 tip, which is pretty cool. But after the game, Jalen Hyatt was asked about Chad Johnson, how Johnson was bragging about him. And you know what Hyatt said? He said, no, I'm the one that I'll be bragging about him. I'm the one that I'll be talking about Chad Johnson. He's done far more than I've ever done. So it should be the other way around. I should be complimenting Johnson. Johnson shouldn't be complimenting me. How about that for staying humble?
Yeah. We talk about how good the wide receivers are, but, this Saturday, Hendon Hooker outperformed Will Levis, and there was a lot of preseason hype about Will Levis going into the year, the NFL draft status, all this other stuff. But Hendon Hooker, all he's done is ascend himself to the top, near the top of a Heisman candidacy.
Yeah. Well, I thought it was I disagreed at the beginning of the year. I did not think that Levis was a better NFL quarterback than Hendon Hooker. Now I don't think it. I know it. And, in fact, I wrote on my blog, I guess I was a little bit heavy-handed, I said, if you're
not at all
Todd McShay or you're some Pro Football Focus guy and you think Levis is a better NFL quarterback than Hooker, you're crazy as hell, because I don't think it's even close. I have made this comparison. I think Will Levis is Taysom Hill. That's what he is. He's a big, strong, good-looking athlete with a great arm who I don't think is an NFL quarterback, or at least not a very good NFL quarterback. He's a guy you can put at quarterback, but you're always going to be looking for somebody better. Hendon Hooker, I wrote, and this is certainly arguable, is a better version of Tyrod Taylor. He's a very accurate passer. He's got ability. He's got agility. He finds the open receiver, and I think he's like Tyrod Taylor, only better. So that was my comparison. But I just do not get and still don't get why people think Will Levis is a better pro prospect than Hendon Hooker. You know what? Some of those same people probably thought Jamarcus Russell was the best quarterback in the country when he came out too.
Well, I can just tell you this, Jimmy. I made this comparison before you came on the show this morning. I think that Will Levis is not even as good as Jake Coker. And I'll be honest, and Jake did not play in the NFL. And Jake was a good college quarterback, but he was not a pro guy. And I don't even know if Levis is.
Well, here's the thing. He's going to get a look because of his physique and his arm. But look at the mistakes he makes. And I'm not an NFL guru. I'm not an NFL scout.
Right.
But I watched him throw late to receivers. I watched him miss receivers that were open with his inaccuracy. I watched as he had a receiver break open. He held the ball, then threw it. By the time he threw it, the guy was covered. Those are things that I can see. And if I can see it, the NFL can see it. I just don't see this guy. Well, maybe he makes it in the NFL. I have my doubts. But I do not have a doubt that Hendon Hooker is a better quarterback in college or will be in the NFL than Will Levis.
I agree. And Jimmy, as the last few minutes with you, we know it's going to be a huge week. This is the biggest game in Tennessee history since 1998. Of course, beating Alabama was so cathartic for the fan base, and that had been a long streak. But this game, what it means nationally is everything, because you can argue if Tennessee wins this game, they will have enough equity. They could get to the SEC championship game. If they lost, Alabama could still make the playoff. But your keys to the game, I know you've watched Georgia closely. We've watched them. Georgia's a really good football team. It's going to be in Athens, so it's going to be a road game for Tennessee. But your thoughts on the matchup?
Well, I think that Tennessee has to continue to hit big splash plays like they've done against everybody. I don't think Tennessee can have 10 or 12 play drives and score. I think Georgia's defense is so good that if you're running that many snaps, they're going to make a play against you. And so I think that's one of the keys. Another key, I think Tennessee has to continue to be really good in the run defense, so that they make Stetson Bennett beat you. Now, Stetson Bennett's become a far better quarterback than I ever thought he would be. But
Agreed.
You can't let Georgia run for 180 to 200 yards, because then they get into play action and it takes some heat off of Bennett. Here's the third thing, too. You got to contain Brock Bowers. Look what he did to Florida. You know, he's arguably the best tight end in the country. He's basically a wide receiver playing tight end. You got to contain him. You can't let him go off. Those would be three of my keys for Tennessee.
We know it, and we've talked about it. And if you listen to the broadcast, the national broadcast, they alluded to it. But Jimmy, just kind of let our listeners know that may not have followed Tennessee back, in the 90s and stuff, just how big of a game this is for Tennessee, the fan base, the program, and everything.
Well, I think it's the biggest regular season game, in my opinion, since Florida in 1998. Now, you say, well, why? Well, Florida was ranked number 2 in the country. They had Tennessee's number. You knew Tennessee had a great team, but they couldn't get over the hump against Spurrier. There was another big game later that year. It was against Arkansas. Arkansas was undefeated in November, but they're only ranked 10th. So I'm going to say Florida, because of Florida was 2 years removed from a national championship, and they were undefeated and ranked number 2. Now, it's probably maybe the biggest game since the national championship game against Florida State. It's also ranked among the biggest games since Tennessee played LSU in the SEC championship game of 2001.
Wow.
If Tennessee wins that game, they go play Miami for the national championship that season. They lost the game, but still the implications were huge. That's how big this one is. If Tennessee wins it, and I'll agree with you guys, if they win it, I would give them about a 75% chance of being in the college football playoff. Because even if they lose to Alabama in a rematch, at least you claim one win over Alabama. Now, then it depends on what everybody else does. It's going to be a challenge. If Alabama wins the SEC championship, Ohio State's undefeated, TCU's undefeated, and Clemson's undefeated, that might make it hard for Tennessee to get in, because the committee values conference championships. They would give Alabama the nod over Tennessee because Alabama won the SEC title. So Tennessee might need a little bit of help. They might need Clemson to lose. They might need TCU to lose a game. And of course, in either Ohio State or Michigan, they'll knock each other off, and I think Ohio State's better. But I do think Tennessee's positioned itself into being in the college football playoff.
And I do think there's still a scenario where if Tennessee lost a close game to Georgia and then Georgia beat Alabama, for instance, in the SEC championship game, that Tennessee could still get in because they would only have one loss. So the Tennessee has put themselves squarely in front of it. And I'll just say this. If Tennessee does win this game Saturday, then I think Hooker is the favorite for the Heisman Trophy, because if they win it, he will play well. He won't turn it over. He'll throw for over 300. So we're going to have to see what happens there. But it's fascinating. And Tennessee, then some people have compared them to the 2019 LSU. If they beat Georgia, that really is going to start into hyperdrive, especially if they continue to put up 35, 38, 40-plus points, and Georgia can't slow them down. So this is going to be an unbelievable game. We appreciate you for coming on, Jimmy, and let everybody know how to follow your show and your blog, and all you guys coverage is going to be blowout this week.
Well, Sports Talk is on from 3 to 7 Eastern. You can find us on iHeartRadio. You can also, if you're in the area, go to 99.1 FM, 990 AM. You can follow me on Twitter at Jimmy Himes. You can also follow my blogs at our website, which is 991thesportsanimal.com. And we've been writing quite a few blogs because there's a lot of interest in what Tennessee's doing for some reason. So, anyway.
Absolutely.
That's how you can follow us. and we certainly appreciate you invited me to be on your show.
Thank you, Jimmy.
Thanks, Jimmy.
We appreciate that. And Jimmy Heim is nobody better in the business. I mean, he puts a lot of stuff in perspective. I mean, it's the biggest game in the country. It's the biggest game so far in college football, Georgia and Tennessee.
Well, it's going to be
because of what's at stake.
According to the AP poll, it's 1 versus 2.
Yeah, now because they're tied for
so
with the Sox.
And the college football playoff rankings come out tomorrow, I believe.
Yeah.
So we will have the college football playoff rankings going into this. Presumably, it could be 1 versus 2 in the playoff rankings.
Without JT Tuilamoau having a big game and a huge fourth quarter, the Buckeyes may have bought it. So they weren't supremely impressive in what they did. So I just think right now I would vote Georgia and Tennessee 1 and 2, and then probably Ohio State 3. But this is one of those games. It reminds me of what Jimmy's talking about, because if you remember that Florida-Tennessee game, Florida missed a late field goal and Tennessee won the game and finally beat them. And it was a springboard, and then they had to have the lucky break with Clint Sterner in the fumble, but they found a way to beat Arkansas. Alabama was just mediocre that year, so they whacked Alabama pretty good. But still, they had 2 huge tests that year, and they passed them. And so far they beat Alabama. They survived. This will be the second one trying to win on the road in Athens.
Well, they had to get by Florida. They had to end that streak against Florida, and they had to end the streak against LSU. So, all right, let's get a break here. When we come back, we got more on that and how bad it is in South Carolina.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Our newest wrecks in Morgan County, Iron Man Road near Jacks Road. Single vehicle, sounds like maybe hit a pole there. 65 northbound at 36 in Hartselle was a no injury. Old Railroad Bed in Capshaw reported as a no injury. 231 in Barty and Lacey reported with injuries. 65 eastbound at Madison Boulevard reported as a no injury. The YMCA's Camp Chalakee at Lake Guntersville is a great place to have retreats and off-site church, corporate, or civic meetings, single or multi-day. YMCAHuntsville.org. Captain Nick in the North Parkway Popeyes Skywatch Traffic Center.
Ann Adams with Berkshire Hathaway Rise Real Estate is the one name to know if you're buying or selling real estate. With years of local experience, Ann Adams offers buyers in-depth knowledge of the local housing market and will narrow available properties down to those you'll be interested in so you can save time when shopping for your new home. If you're ready to sell, Ann offers a seamless process using accurate pricing and expert negotiation skills to make sure you get a fair price for your home. Call Ann Adams today at 256-337-2625 or log on bhhsriserealestate.com.
The kitchen is the heart of any home. It's where the family gathers. It's where kids discover old recipes and make them their own. Just starting out or just now getting started on the dream kitchen you've always wanted?
I'm Chris Haygood, and from all of us here at Bob Wallace Appliance to the home builders and the homeowners of the Huntsville area, a heartfelt thank you for buying local. We're in Huntsville, Florence, and Coleman, and online at bobwallaceappliance.com.
Hey there, folks. Bob Baumhauer here. We're celebrating 40 legendary years here at Baumhauer's Victory Grill. And to kick this off, we're coming in hot with our all-new Alabama Hot Chicken. Fresh southern fried chicken breast smothered in a blend of tangy, immune-boosting herbs and spices with a spicy finish. Served up with a side of homemade smoked Gouda cheese grits, Miss Mary southern greens, and garlic bread. And there's plenty more where that came from. Stop in today and celebrate with us. Baumhauer's Victory Grill. Legendary fun, legendary food.
This is Wes Neighbors with Philip with Eagle Insulation, and we have an announcement to make.
Yes, Wes, we are now Eagle Masonry and Insulation. We're still a place to call for your insulation needs, but now we offer masonry services.
What kind of masonry projects can you handle?
Wes, no job is too big, no job is too small. We can do renovations, new construction, outdoor fireplaces, fire pits, brick landscape borders.
Well, when you came out to my house, you did both the insulation and masonry at the same time. You guys did rock for me, you did brick for me, and you insulated my house. That's usually done at the same time that you're building a house.
Absolutely. It really capitalizes on 2 services you need at the same time, and you can get one company to handle both of those.
fill up with Eagle Insulation, will come out, do your installation. He'll do your masonry. They do a great job. They guarantee your work. Check out more online at insulatedwitheagle.com and schedule your free examination today. 256-755-1556.
Thanks, Wes.
Specializing in simple and affordable rentals, McCurry Van and Car Rental can make sure you have just the right vehicle for your next family vacation, weekend getaway, or if you just need transportation while your vehicle is being repaired. McCurry carries Ford Transit vans and Mercedes Sprinter vans, trucks and work vans, and more. And they offer discounted rental rates for long-term rentals. Now with 4 locations: Athens, Muscle Shoals, Coleman, and Huntsville. Log on McCurryRentals.com to make your reservation now. That's McCurryRentals.com. No representation is made that the quality of the legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by other lawyers.
This is Attorney Tommy Sinyard on behalf of Sinyard Law, and again proud to be a sponsor of All Things Football here on ESPN Radio. My son Bart and I started our own law firm July 1 and are very proud and excited to be bringing you our 50 years of collective national award-winning injury trial law experience. Check us out on the web, sinyardlaw.com.
Sinyard Law, nationally recognized, locally respected.
Hi everybody, Eli Gold here. Right now, indoor air quality occupies top-of-mind awareness for families and business owners. Rick Smith and the trusted professionals at Environmental Comfort Systems can take care of your indoor air quality concerns with their state-of-the-art indoor air quality solutions. Environmental Comfort's indoor air quality systems remove 99.9% of airborne contaminants so you and your family can breathe clean, fresh air. If anyone in your family suffers from allergies, or if you just want the security of knowing the air you breathe inside your home is free from viruses, bacteria, pet dander, dust, and odors, Environmental Comfort Systems are the professionals to call. Environmental Comfort also carries state-of-the-art, high-efficiency comfort systems that increase home comfort, keep humidity in check, and help you save money on your energy bills. Give my friend Rick a call or visit them online at envcomfort.com and breathe cleaner air today. Environmental Comfort Systems, Alabama license number 92314.
Catch the Tide every Saturday. Hi, this is Chris Stewart of the Crimson Tide Sports Network. Listen to Alabama football on 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Roll Tide.
This segment of Talkin' Ball is brought to you by University Kia, the #1 volume Kia dealer in the state of Alabama. Located online at universitykia.com.
Welcome back, Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN The Zone. We said it, and you know what? On the show, we go over a lot of different things, and yes, the Alabama-LSU game, we will break that down. We've got 5 days to break the Alabama-LSU game down, and we will. We will break it down in its entirety.
It's a big game.
There's a
Just
lot
not
at
as big
stake.
as this one.
But this Tennessee-Georgia game is right now, before the college football playoff rankings come out, it is 1 versus 2 in the country. 1 versus 2 does not get much big. You can't get much bigger than that unless you have 2 teams tied for first.
Right.
So that is why we are talking that one. Bob, the Georgia dog, is with us now on the show. Good morning, sir.
What's up, Bob?
Hey, good morning, fellas.
Morning.
I enjoyed that last segment with Jamie. He had some good points in there. I thought that was really good.
Yeah, Jimmy, he does a good job.
So here's my Monday morning hot take. This is going to be a good game, and I know you guys know it. But some of the things that Jamie hit on were, hey, Tennessee has to have big explosive plays. That's not going to happen. They're going to get a couple, but then it's going to get stopped. And Georgia's going to run the ball well. And my hot take prediction is, and people are going to think I'm nuts because I know a lot of Georgia fans are freaking out right now and all worried. 41-28 Georgia. All right. And then Bama is going to smack LSU this weekend. And all will be right in the world again. And it's going to be the Dogs and the Tide in Atlanta going head-to-head again. That's what's going to happen. All this nonsense about Tennessee, they're a good team. Don't get me wrong. They're a good team, and they still have an outside chance at the playoff after they lose in Athens this weekend. But it's going to be the Dogs and Bama. That's what's happening.
Well, Bob, we'll see. I mean, I do think this Georgia team is more explosive than the ones that they preceded. They ran the ball better this weekend than they have been. They haven't quite been as good a running team as they were a year ago, but certainly Stetson has improved. But I didn't think Stetson was great on Saturday. He's going to have to be better than he was against Florida this Saturday to go head up with Hendon Hooker. He's going to have to be more efficient. He turned it over twice. If he turns it over 2 or 3 times against Tennessee, Georgia's not winning that game.
I agree.
And I picked Georgia in a close one, but he's just going to have to play at a high level. And if he does, he'll start re-entering the Heisman conversation. But he's going to have to play at a high level, and this Georgia offensive line is going to have to do a good job against that Tennessee defensive front. And if Georgia can run the ball, then yes, I think that there's no doubt they can win it. But this Tennessee rush defense is the real deal. They contained Alabama in the fourth quarter. And that's the reason that they wanted that, and Mulberry, Curley, and Shemp. We already know that. But still, they stopped the run, and they ran the ball on Alabama. And if that's what Georgia's going to have to do, I do think Kirby will have a better plan. Georgia is going to have to stop the run. They've got to put more pressure on Hooker and get in his face. When Alabama got in Hooker's face, he made a couple mistakes, and that's what Georgia's going to have to do. Georgia's going to have to get in his face because at times Georgia's given up some things against elite quarterbacks and receivers. So that's going to be interesting. But Georgia's got to get pressure on him.
Yep. All right.
Yeah, and he's good. All right, fellas.
Thanks. Yeah, that's the hour break there. It's going to be interesting because Kirby Smart, Will Muschamp.
Hang with us, Lewis.
And that defensive staff there at Georgia. I mean, they're going to have their hands full. They're going to have to come up with a game plan. And it's going to be a lot of.
And Noah Smith may be out. He's hurt. He missed part of the Florida game, and his shoulder's not good, man.
All right, when we get back, the phone lines are still open to you. Lewis, hold. We're going to get to you. Plus, Spencer Rattler said some great things about his team after their loss. Lane Kiffin said some things about the.
You're talking about Will Levis's cousin, right? Yeah. Spencer Rattler.
Well, I don't know about.
He's terrible.
I don't know if he's that bad.
Oh, he's awful. He's terrible.
Tom Luganbill here for my friends at Woody Anderson Ford. Bobby White and his team take great pride in their service department, and you can see it the moment you walk into those beautiful new service lanes. And just like a championship team, they all work together to make sure your experience is second to none, whether you drive a Ford or not. Also, check out the gold certified pre-owned inventory at Woody Anderson Ford for great deals every day. Stop by and see them at Jordan and Sparkman or at Woody Anderson of Madison on Hughes Road, or visit WoodyAndersonFord.com.
Great food and the best live entertainment is what it's all about at the Furniture Factory Bar and Grill. Head to downtown Huntsville every Tuesday for karaoke on the only outdoor karaoke stage in North Alabama. Thursday night is the Valley's longest running and biggest bike night. Food and drink specials, giveaways, and live music on the patio. And the Furniture Factory menu is fully loaded with options from steaks to salads, plus a whole lot more. Featuring a weekday happy hour that starts at 3. 619 Meridian Street, downtown Huntsville, and online at FurnitureFactoryBarGrill.com.
WZZN, Union Grove, Huntsville, Alabama. 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Good morning from the traffic center. Got a wreck in Morgan County, Ironman and Jacks. That one had a utility pole involved. 65 northbound at 36. That's at Hartselle. It's a no injury. Old Railroad Bed in Capshaw reported as a no injury. And 231 and Bartee Road in Lacey reported as an injury time. Snelling needs a paralegal, a part-time bookkeeper, and an appointment scheduler. Snelling, how Huntsville's best companies hire talent. Huntsville.snelling.com. Captain Nick in the North Parkway Popeye Skywatch Traffic Center.
From the Fox 54 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Emily Owen. For this Halloween, expect mostly cloudy sky. High temperature going to top out in the lower 70s for the afternoon. Majority of us will be remaining dry, but a passing shower or two cannot be completely ruled out. Heading into your Monday night, expect mostly clouds to continue. Low temperatures going to be falling into the lower 50s. I'm meteorologist Emily Owen on your home for ESPN Radio 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
This is Brent Musburger's VSiN Action Update on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
NFL, the Falcons now in first place in the NFC South at 4-4, hosting the Chargers this Sunday. Atlanta a 3-point underdog at home, 48.5 the total. The Saints a 3-point underdog at home against the Ravens next Monday night. Number 6 Alabama and number 15 LSU in Tiger Stadium Saturday. The Crimson Tide a 13-point favorite, 58 the total. Auburn plus 10.5 at Mississippi State, 52.5 the over-under. The World Series moving to Philadelphia for Game 3 tonight. The Astros road favorites, minus 132 on the money line. The Phillies plus 122, the over-under 8. Lance McCullers Jr. gets the ball for Houston. Noah Syndergaard for Phillies, series tied at 1. Red Hot winning picks at experts.winnersandwiners.com. Save 75% on any best bet package with the promo code ACTION75. That's ACTION75 at experts.winnersandwiners.com.
I'm Trey Westerberg, 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Log on today, 977ESPN.com. Welcome to Talkin' Ball with Scott Tyson and Drew DeArmond. Call into the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline now, 256-576-4977. That's 256-576-4977. Now, here's Scott and Drew.
Two of the show, 256-576-4977. That's the phone line number if you want to get in this morning. And that's where we're going to go to kick off hour number 2. Lewis has been holding, and nope, okay. Well, he was holding, but he can call back. Anybody can call back, 256-576-4977. And some of the good, the bad, the ugly from over the weekend clearly has to take us to South Carolina. The Gamecocks taking on Missouri. They just cracked the top 25 of the rankings. They take on Missouri, and they falter in a big way. Spencer Rattler after the game.
I don't know. I mean, we just got to get better at everything. Credit to Missouri. They gave us tough looks all night long with their blitzes, their pressures, the way they got after us. And it was tough to, get the drop back pass game going. We really didn't, I don't feel like we had a good idea of knowing what to do. So I say that's what we need to get better at, is just preparing and knowing what to do.
Didn't have a good idea of what to do.
Think about this. 3 years ago, he was the number 1 quarterback in America. Some people thought he might end up being the number 1 overall pick in the draft.
Had a Netflix show, by the way. He was on Netflix as one of the QB1 or whatever.
Yeah, he was selling his autograph on eBay, basically. Just
with
as far as with how arrogant he was. But anyway, I think he's been humbled a little bit. At least he should be, because he wouldn't even be drafted right now. He is absolutely horrific. He would have been the ugly for me. The bad was Will Levis. Will Levis was bad. Kentucky was bad. But ugly was South Kakalaki. I mean, they played Missouri, who, is not a very good football team. I've seen Missouri, a few times. They're not very good. And they won 23-10 by 2 scores with a kicker that can't make a 21-yarder but makes 50-yarders. Okay? It's just one of those things. It's absolutely awful. And Auburn was bad, too.
Well, I was going to say this, though. When we were at SEC Media Days.
Ugly was South Kakalaki.
Yeah, when we were at SEC Media Days, I don't think nobody, okay, there were a few people that predicted Auburn to be at the bottom of the West.
I know.
But I don't think anybody predicted that Texas A&M and Auburn, when those two meet, could decide who finishes last.
Well, I was praying. I just didn't think that the ATM would be this bad with all this talent, but they absolutely stink. They're
1-4 in the West.
That's the other ugly thing is Texas ATM. They are absolutely horrific. They are not. They are.
They have
they're
only
on their third quarterback.
They have only scored 14 points more than the Auburn Tigers in conference play.
I mean, it's awful. They're
2 touchdowns more than Auburn in conference play.
And yet they can't. Their defense can't stop the run. They got the highest paid defensive line this side of the NFL, and they can't stop the run. Ole Miss ran for 390 yards on them. Just ask Lane Kiffin. I mean, it's bad. it's just truly horrific.
All right, Pat from Tuscaloosa with us this morning. Good morning, Pat.
What's up, Pat?
Good morning, Drew. Hey, is Jimbo going to give Lane his Joker costume?
We'll see. I don't know. I mean, Lane certainly had everything ready to roll in the press conference after drilling Dirt Neck. I can tell you that.
Hey, you got to hand it. Hey, Lane's almost getting better in the press conferences than the Pirate himself.
Yeah.
Wow. Hey, what I called about this morning, a little bit of a recruiting question, is Desmond Ricks. Desmond Ricks. Is he anywhere close to being as good as McLean?
Well, I mean, he's a 5-star talent. It's hard to say. He is reclassifying. I would say he would be up there in the now that he's reclassified in the top 4 or 5 corners in the country. If you were rating guys, I certainly think he's wanted by Alabama. That's for sure. I think Alabama would like to get another defensive back or two. Tyler Scott from Mableton, Georgia, is going to visit for the Iron Bowl. He just visited Auburn. He's visited Tennessee. His profile has gone way up. I think Alabama is still trying to find a DB or two. I think Ricks, he visited for the Vanderbilt game. I wouldn't be surprised if he was there for the Iron Bowl, and then I wouldn't be surprised if they brought him back for a December official visit before the signing period. I know LSU wants him badly as well. But again, it wouldn't surprise me. I do think that Alabama knows that they need another elite corner in the class, but I also think that they know that they need 2 or 3 defensive linemen. They need another linebacker. They may take Jaron Hamilton. They may take another wide receiver. There's a handful of players that they'd like to bring in, and I think Reuben Bain is somebody from the Panhandle in Miami that can rush the passer that they're very, very interested in. And with as bad as Mario Cristobal's Ruiz Hurricanes have looked, I mean, I know his uncle's on the coaching staff there, and he had another relative that played for the U, but they look awful. And so, and Auburn had thought they'd made some inroads with Bain, but again, that coaching staff the future is very, very bleak. Now, we don't know how many will be retained by the new coach. But again, and we haven't talked about it much, but, we did on Saturday, John Cohen. He hasn't been officially named the Auburn athletic director. I was hearing late last night that may happen today, that President Roberts was still leaning toward that direction. But, that's another story we're going to be following throughout the day and throughout the week, is Auburn getting their AD in place and then Brian Harson's future being decided, which we already know what's going to happen. But, again, I do think Alabama has the they're going to keep a pool of 6 to 10 guys that they're still recruiting that they want to add. They've got 23 commitments. As I've said before, in my opinion, the magic number would be 28. But if they got the right guys, 29 or 30, Pat. And I think they know who they've identified and who they'd like to bring in. And by the way, I think they're going to get a commitment from a 5-star quarterback Wednesday afternoon in 2024 in Julian Sayin from Carlsbad, California.
Good job, Drew. All right. And, man, that's great news. But I don't think I would have bet money. I'm glad that the bookies don't have a slot to bet on where players are going, because I would have bet McLean was going to Florida.
Oh, everybody thought that. Yep, exactly. Yeah.
Gotcha. All right. Hey, have a blessed day. Thank you for what you do, Drew. You're the best.
Thank you, Pat.
Scott, have a wonderful weekend. Bye-bye.
Thanks. Pat from Tuscaloosa there, 256-576-4977. All right, let's stay on the phone lines. Justin's with us this morning. Good morning, Justin.
Morning.
Hey, guys. Been a while since I spoke with you. How you doing?
Good, sir. How are you?
Doing fine. Hey, I was just going to touch on the Tennessee thing. Coaching high school football as long as I did I stopped about 4 years ago. But one thing Tennessee does on offense that I'm not sure you guys have talked about, a lot of times when they get in that stack look and they space the field so far, it's almost like
they stretch it. Yeah.
They almost turn the field into a Canadian football field. The way they spread your defense out, and they make you determine, with your linebacker, if your linebacker expands the box, it becomes a running play. Basically, call 3 plays in one scenario in that stack formation that they use that they've been killing everybody on, and they're making you determine: are you going to keep that linebacker in the box to stop the run? If you expand him, they're running the ball, and then if you keep him in the box, it's either they're going to throw the fast screen or they're going to go deep, depending on how you run your secondary. And it's really a tough matchup. Josh Heupel is a very, very smart individual when it comes to offensive football. And my dad said this the other day. He said, "You mean Tennessee's running something that nobody can stop?" He said, "I just don't believe that." I said, "Well, based on what we're watching, it looks like that's what's happening."
Yeah.
Until everybody adjusts. I mean, they had a lot of trouble for 2 or 3 years with Gus Malzahn stuff, and then people adjusted.
Exactly.
And so people are going to adjust. They're going to start playing more corners on the field and things of that nature. But Josh Heupel's doing a great job. He's a great play caller. People kind of forget, Justin, that he was the OC at Missouri at one time before he got the UCF head coaching job. So he's been in the SEC before. It was after Bob Stoops let him go, and there was some acrimony there because he played for Stoops and he was on the staff at Oklahoma for a long time. But then their offense kind of got stale, and they made a change, and I think Lincoln Riley took over. So it's interesting. Heupel's done a great job. They've taken everybody by – nobody thought Tennessee was going to be this good this quickly. Everything, it's kind of been another – just like it lined up for LSU and was a perfect storm. So far it's been a perfect storm for Tennessee, and we'll see if it continues on Saturday in Athens.
And it's there. It's the Art Briles style of offense, and But the one thing that to me, and me and my dad was talking about this too, and you basically have to. I mean, as much as I always hated play and bend but don't break defense, you almost have to play it. I mean, and let the field kind of get congested to where they can't space you as much down inside the 20. And your objective really against Tennessee needs to be holding to a field goal. And Georgia, and if this game was played at Tennessee, I would pick Tennessee, no doubt. It would be no doubt in my mind Tennessee would win this football game. I really believe that. But Georgia, as well as you guys know, and if I always had one knock on, being an Alabama fan, I've always had one knock on Saban and one knock on Kirby Smart, even when he was at Alabama or Georgia. The best way to beat Alabama and Georgia is attack the field vertically. And Tennessee does that, obviously, better than anybody in the country. So they're going to have a shot, obviously, to win this football game because of their ability to do that. But if Georgia can run the football, keep Tennessee's offense off the field, and shorten the game, it being at Georgia, I think Georgia will win a close game, but it would not shock me a bit, obviously, if Tennessee wins this game. But it being at Georgia just gives me a little bit of a nod to Georgia. But
the question is, coming into this one, is you mentioned, he brings up a great point there, that's the new age of college football. Though a lot of people give a lot of these teams that were so, like Alabama, for instance, they give Pete Golding a hard time because they give up all these yards and some of these points to these teams. But Justin brings up a great point there. Give up the yards to Tennessee. Just don't give up the points. Just don't let them get into the end zone. You're going to give up the yards in today's football game.
And Alabama gave up a bunch of yards, but almost had 4 turnovers.
Yeah, don't give up the touchdowns.
Which would have won the game.
Yes.
And they would have given up still a ton of yards, but they would have forced 4 turnovers, which wins the game. But we know what happened. We understand, and when they didn't get those 2 turnovers, and Tennessee was able to maintain possession and score points, and the other 2 things, Tennessee ran it, and Alabama did not run it effectively in the fourth quarter, and everything lined up, and Tennessee stole the game, and they won it, and they outlasted Alabama.
And that's the game nowadays. I mean, back in the day when I first started coaching, everybody, it was even, probably 15 years ago. Hey, let's shut folks out. Let's shut 7 points, 10 points.
Right.
Nowadays, 24 points, man. I mean, that literally the way the game's played, the way the rules are, the RPO stuff.
Got to score.
The way the game is played now, and the way the rules are predicated to benefit the offense way more than they are the defense.
Agreed.
You got to tell people to 24 points nowadays, you're going to win a lot of times.
And Tennessee's number is 34. If you hold the Vols below 34, that is like that magic number for Tennessee, where they, under Josh Heupel, 34 points, they're like, their record is astronomical. Below 34.
Well, that's why I said it before when I predicted the Alabama game. I predicted 45-27 because I thought Alabama could force turnovers, run the ball better, and then slow Tennessee's run down and get just enough stops. We're going to give up yards and some points, but I thought they could still outscore Tennessee and dominate the time of possession. They won the time of possession significantly, but they didn't force enough turnovers, and they didn't run it well enough, and they allowed Tennessee to run it. And that's the other underrated thing. You got to slow Tennessee's run running game down, because if you do, you can put Hendon Hooker in some more stressful situations. If they can run it and get 5 yards a carry, you have no shot. Because then you have to because
the speed of their game gets
yeah,
faster
and
too.
the
5,
tempo
6 yards,
and all that stuff.
Everything goes.
Man.
All right, Justin, thanks for the phone call there, bud.
Thank you.
All right, Bama Bino with us now. Good morning, Bama Bino.
Morning, sir.
Hey guys, a good weekend of football. I really enjoyed it.
For some, for others, it was bad.
It was bad for Jeff. Jeff's head's in the toilet right now.
I just enjoyed watching it. Wasn't any surprises really. I thought South Carolina would beat Missouri, but
Lord,
if I know Kirby Smart, and I said this on your show 2 weeks ago or a week and a half, if I know Kirby Smart well enough, he's going to see what Alabama didn't do. He's going to rush Hendon Hooker. He's going to blitz him. He's going to just be a beehive in his rear end and just pressure him. Now, if Tennessee blocks as well as they've been doing, their offensive line's got small.
Yeah, they're good.
They're blocking pretty good. I don't know if you could just do everything I say do, but Mark Stoops did not rush the quarterback on the outside edge on linebackers. They didn't enough. I think they tried a couple of times, and they had a back that was a backup back that was there to kind of release valve to pick up blocks. But you're going to have to pressure Hooker evidently. I mean, and then they've got this other guy back that's healthy. You're not going to go tit for tat with him, but I'm just anxious to see what Tennessee's going to do at away games when they don't have a crowd to an advantage. And I'm not saying they can't,
right?
But if Smart doesn't put pressure on Hooker, then Tennessee will beat them in Athens. You've got to pressure him because he can run the ball too. But you got to have somebody to cover him. You got to have one man designated like a Derek Thomas that's going to just wreak havoc and either affect the play or make something happen. That's the only way you can beat them. That's the only way I know.
Right. And, but this Georgia team last year going in, if that was the recipe and if that is the recipe going into last year's game, I'm confident that Georgia can get to Hendon Hooker. They can force some sacks. But going into this game, keep in mind, Georgia is 120th in the country in sacks this season. They only average 1.25 sacks per game this season.
Yeah, they have their pass rush. That's the one thing that worries you. They have not been able to get to the QB.
Yeah, hasn't been
and
outstanding.
I told you, and Nolan Smith is hurt, so that's a dangerous thing. It's going to be interesting to see what Georgia can scheme up and how healthy Jalen Carter is.
That's the thing. If they can't put pressure on Hendon Hooker. But I will say this: I think Georgia adjusts better. I think Saban has got the mindset: we've got a game plan, we're going to stick to it, and it don't make it that gum if they bring in Rodney back from the ages. They're going to just still do whatever they're doing. They don't adjust. You'd think dropping linebackers in coverage, if it ain't working, let's try something else. But they never put pressure on Hooker, and he's going to clobber you if you don't. But I'm looking forward to the RSU game this weekend too. It's got another good weekend of football coming up, and it's just my favorite time of year. And I'm excited to watch both of those games. I'm flirting with going to the game, but depends on what my buddy does. He's retiring from UPS this week.
Okay.
Charles Carter. He had a son, Marcus, that played at Alabama.
Oh yeah, I remember Marcus. Yeah, from Fort Payne. Yep.
Yeah, me and Charles and Marcus run around together a lot, and if I can get him in motor going, we'll go. But if not, we'll watch it on the tube. But I enjoy y'all's show, and
thank you, Ben.
Got great leadership there with all the guys and Wes, and I enjoy you two guys too, and I love you.
Thank you, Bam.
Thanks,
Bino.
Bam.
We appreciate it.
Thanks
Thank
for the
you.
kind words.
Yes, sir.
All right. Hey, Justin Hokanson, just want to throw this out there.
You just put, is this today from today?
22 hours ago,
Oh,
put this
22,
out there
yeah.
saying that this is in regards to John Cohen.
Cohen, yeah.
He says John Cohen could absolutely be the hire. It could happen soon. However, there's absolutely is pushback happening with the reservations about a potential Cohen hiring being expressed by many to President Chris Roberts. He says it's in Roberts' hands. It's his hire, but there's evidently some pushback being there felt. No surprise to many that there is pushback there at Auburn on the hiring of John Cohen as their next athletics director.
Late last night, the update, it looked at that time like Roberts was going to stick to his guns and that the hire could be announced today of John Cohen. We'll see. Things change, but the thought last night, prevailing thought from Hokanson, was that Cohen would be the hire. Now, if not, I think a lot of people think if this falls apart and he goes back to Mississippi State or whatnot, if the deal isn't consummated, it'll be Rich McGlynn going from interim to permanent athletic director. That seemed to be the prevailing opinion from Hokanson and those in the know. Now, we'll see if I still think they were, leaning heavily toward Cohen, and again there were some money people that weren't happy with it and were had reservations about it, but we'll see. I mean, I was just digging around last night to see what the latest was, and I think that right now, and again, have not checked this morning. But I think that the prevailing thought was that John Cohen would be the athletic director, and really it started getting serious last Thursday, and then it was leaked out on Saturday while we were on the air, and really shocked. According to Auburn insiders, it shocked everybody on the campus, all the coaches. I'm talking about Butch Thompson, who even worked for him, Bruce Pearl. Nobody knew that this was had gotten this serious. So it's going to be interesting to see what comes to fruition.
All right, 256-576-4977. That's the number to the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. Let's get our break in real fast when we come back and talk some Alabama basketball. Brian Pasnick will join us. Ty with some exhibition hoops on Saturday.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Got a report of a stall tractor trailer coming up Chapman Mountain, coming up from Moore's Mill. May have a lane blocked up there. Iron Man and Jacks Road in Morgan County, 65 northbound at 36 in Hartselle. Old Railroad Bed in Capshaw and 231 in Bartee Road had injuries. Those all should be very close to being ready to clear. No hose, no mask. You can ask Dr. Sandman, that's Dr. Sandlin, for the medically proven benefits of the Somnodent for sleep apnea and for snoring. Dr. Sandlin, 350-CARE. Captain Nick in the Jordan Lane Popeye Skywatch Traffic Center.
Football season is here, and as always, the best place to catch every game is downtown at Humphrey's Bar and Grill. Humphrey's is celebrating by bringing back their game day football specials. $2.75 Miller Lite, Coors Light, Yingling, and $3.50 Yellowhammer Gold Pints. $4 Fireball shots. Anytime football is on. And don't forget football trivia every Sunday night at 6. The best place to catch all the games all season long is downtown at Humphrey's Bar and Grill.
At Bad Daddy's Burger Bar, people call the award-winning burgers totally insane, which is a compliment because Bad Daddy's Burgers are just that, chef-inspired expressions of pure burger amazingness built with premium Angus beef. They're bold and they're bad. Pair one with one of their signature cocktails or assortment of local craft brews. Bad Daddy's Burger Bar, 2317 Memorial Parkway. Check out our menu and even order online at BadDaddy'sBurgerBar.com. Here's something to get your tailgating in gear this football season. Brooks & Collier have the perfect selection of outdoor furniture for your dream backyard and the biggest selection of grills from Big Green Egg, Traeger, Blaze, Memphis, and Montalpi. Football season is grilling season. Lucy and Ivy, they're just waiting on something to fall off the grill. And remember, you could qualify for 12 months deferred interest with Synchrony Bank. Brooks & Collier, 813 Meridian Street and at brooksandcollier.com.
When I chose a garage door company, I did my homework. I needed Precision Overhead Garage Door Service. They have a 5-star Google rating. I checked their reviews and liked what their customers had to say. Precision Overhead Garage Door has lifetime warranty packages. Same-day service if I call before 2 p.m. If they can't make it the same day, my service call fee the next day is waived. They did a 25-point safety inspection on the door and operator. Now that's peace of mind. Residential, commercial, and gate services. Precision Overhead Garage Door Service. Call 256-400-4500.
If you're ready to lower your utility bills, it's time to call Eagle Insulation. Eagle can handle it all. Attic re-insulation, insulation removal, wall insulation, and new construction insulation, commercial and residential. Our primary goal is to save you money, and lots of it. Typical clients realize their return on investment within 3 to 6 months. That means the re-insulation actually pays for itself and then some. See if we can help you. Contact Eagle Insulation today, 256-755-1556, or log on insulatewitheagle.com.
Tom Abraham here from my friend Brian Hamaker and his team at North Alabama Mortgage. Look, buying a home is the biggest purchase you will make in your life, and it can be a bit intimidating, so you want people that can help walk you through the mortgage process and get you the best deal possible. That's what North Alabama Mortgage does, and they do it in Alabama, Tennessee, and Florida, from first-time purchases to refis, conventional, VA, FHA, and USDA loans. They have the solution at North Alabama Mortgage. Visit NorthAlabamaMortgage.com to learn more. That's NorthAlabamaMortgage.com.
YKTA wants you to join their team. YKTA is currently adding machine maintenance and die maintenance positions to their fast-growing company. YKTA has new improved work schedules with built-in days off. Pay range is $25 to $33 based on experience and additional shift differential. And YKTA has opportunities for increased pay above top range through advanced skills training. Apply today at yktal.com/careers. YKTA is an equal opportunity employer. Organizations using Salesforce know how powerful the platform is and how much time, money, and headaches it saves if it's set up right and you know how to use it. Let's face it, Salesforce is complicated and time-consuming to figure out, and a lot can go wrong now and down the road without expert help. That's why most Salesforce users work with an implementation partner like Higher Echelon, so they get the absolute most out of their Salesforce investment. Higher Echelon is a 5-star Salesforce consulting partner who won Salesforce Military Hiring Partner of the Year. President Dr. Joe Ross is retired Army who played and later coached for the cadets. He puts that experience to good use at Higher Echelon, where they pride themselves on hiring veterans. Look, not all Salesforce partners are the same. Don't put your company at risk by going with an inferior partner. Higher Echelon is the trusted partner you can count on to get you up and running and seeing returns on your Salesforce investment in a fraction of the time it would take if you go it alone. Go to higherechelon.com. That's HIGHERECHELON.com to learn more. Go higher and go Army.
This is Steve Moulton from The Drive. Join us this afternoon from 5 to 7 with Wes Neighbors and me. Now back to Talkin' Ball with Scott Theisen and Drew DeArmond on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
All right, welcome back. Yes, we are in the throng of the college football season. The college football playoff rankings come out later this week. We got all kinds of great stuff going on, but college basketball is heating up. And I say heating up because we're probably at that lukewarm level right now because these are the exhibition games going on. Coming up on Wednesday right here on 97.7 ESPN The Zone, you're going to be able to hear the UAH Chargers kick off their exhibition slate as they travel to take on Auburn on Wednesday. But on Saturday, it was an off week for Alabama football. The basketball team took center stage as they had an exhibition game inside Foster Auditorium with Southern Illinois.
Yeah, they did. They let the students in there. It was a pretty packed, loud environment, an interesting one. It's again, Foster's not a big venue, but it can get loud quickly. And Alabama took on Southern Illinois. They had a secret scrimmage several days ago against TCU. That was rough, but they had some guys out. Still didn't have Charles Bediako. Still didn't have Javon Quinterly. Had Namari Burnett on kind of a minutes restriction. But again, they hope to have everybody back by the first game. But they get a 73-64 win, and for much of the second half, they dominated Defensively, they played well. They rebounded the ball. And we're going to talk about that with the longtime color analyst for the Crimson Tide Sports Network and a guy that I know I had a chance to talk with briefly at SEC Basketball Media Day. He's fired up for the season, fired up for the Crimson Tide, and that is Brian Pasick. Brian, welcome back to Huntsville. How are you, sir?
Doing great, guys. How are y'all?
We are doing well.
Good. And do you need these exhibition games so that you can find out who's who?
Yeah, they're so important for everyone, but especially a team like Alabama, who I think the expectations are high, and they should be. This team has a chance to be really good, but you also have a bunch of new faces, and some guys are going to be playing key roles on what I think will be a highly ranked team throughout the season with a chance to advance in the NCAA tournament. But some of your top players are going to be brand new, whether they're transfers or freshmen. So a great opportunity with these scrimmages or exhibition games, secret, quote, not so secret scrimmages are very important. And the non-conference portion of the schedule is also critical. It's critical in terms of NCAA tournament seeding, getting better, preparing you for what I think will be the best conference in college basketball, and that's the SEC this season. So these games are important. Practices are important, but I can't wait to get it going for real exactly 1 week from today against Longwood.
Yeah, and it is. It's crazy. 1 week from today. But the one thing that stood out to me, Brian, just following it on social media, seeing some of the video highlights and following you guys' coverage is there's a lot of depth potentially on this team this year.
Yeah, no doubt. And watching Alabama warm up, for example, it kind of reminds me, if you guys remember, I know you do, when Nick Saban got to Alabama, and you could just see the transformation of what the team looked like in warm-ups physically before the game, and you're just looking over there and you're like, these guys that Saban recruits and the team that Alabama has just looks a little different than they did 5-10 years ago. And that's how it is watching this group warm up, practice, before they even play in the game. You look at them physically and they look like a Kentucky, Duke, North Carolina, Kansas. I mean, that's how this group looks physically, 1 through 12. When Javon Quinterly gets back, and you have 12 guys on scholarship, and it's a talented, athletic, deep group with a chance to be really good. But I think that's a great starting point, is having good players. Now you got to come together, get chemistry that you can really only get through practicing and important games to develop that, to have a chance to have a really good season. But you can't have a great season without having great players and talent, and Alabama certainly has that.
Name some of the guys that Alabama fans are going to want to really pay attention, some of the newcomers that Alabama fans through this exhibition game and some of the scrimmages that you've been able to see that's kind of impressed you, some of the new guys, the new names that Alabama fans are going to want to watch.
Yeah, how long do we have?
I know. Thank goodness it's not a football roster.
Hey, 2 words, Brandon Miller, man.
Yes. If you haven't seen Brandon Miller, prepare yourself to enjoy watching him play, unless, of course, you're a fan of another school. Then you're not going to enjoy it so much because he's really good. And he's not alone, but Brandon Miller is headlining the number 3 recruiting class in the country. That has Jaden Bradley, a McDonald's All-American, along with Brandon Miller, who has a chance to be really good. Alabama has a lot of depth at the point guard position, especially when JQ gets back. But Brandon Miller is a guy that I think has a chance to be special in his first year at Alabama and possibly his only year. He is definitely on the radar from NBA teams to be a potential one and done. He definitely has the skill set, the work ethic, and I think he's going to have a great year. I can't wait to see him play. Watched him in practice, and he, as a McDonald's All-American, it's hard to exceed expectations. He's much better than I thought.
Wow.
And so is Noah Clowney.
Yes.
Alabama has 4 McDonald's All-Americans on the roster with Brandon Miller, Jaden Bradley, Damari Burnett, Javon Quinterly when he gets back, and that's the most in program history. Noah Clowney looks like a McDonald's All-American coming in. He is one of those guys that I would also say is better than I thought he would be. He's going to contribute in a big way this year at 6'10", can play inside and out. He's relentless on the glass, plays extremely hard. He's athletic. So those two guys as freshmen, and then a couple of important transfers. Mark Sears, who is from the state of Alabama, played in Muscle Shoals, and from North Alabama, and went to Ohio and really developed. Was not considered a 4 or 5 star coming out of high school, and has turned into that. He's a really good player who's going to be either starting at the point guard position or playing heavy minutes at that spot. But he's someone that I know a lot of listeners are familiar with in your area, but very difficult to keep him in front of you. Gets in the lane, can shoot the three at a high clip, gets after it defensively, and is a veteran. Averaged almost 20 points a game at Ohio last year, one of the best players in their conference. And I think he has a chance to be one of the better players in the SEC, which is saying a lot. But those guys, along with Dom Welch, transfer from St. Bonaventure, can really shoot the three, defend, bigger wing guard. And a guy that kind of gets forgotten is Namari Burnett, who went out with a knee injury last year before the season, would have played a key role on last year's team, and it was exactly what Alabama missed a year ago. Could shoot the three, could defend, 2 areas that Alabama needs to get better in this year. I think they will, and Namari Burnett will be a big part of it. But there's a bunch of new guys that are going to play important roles, but those are some that have jumped off the page at me when I've seen them either in practice, on film, or just looking at what they're going to do for this Alabama team this year.
And one guy that's underrated to me, and he didn't get there till late, Brian, and he was hurt when he got there. But he had 10 and 8 in the game and several plays above the rim, and he's a rim runner and plays with a lot of energy. He's, to me, the perfect backup big in the system for Nate Oates. But Nick Pringle is a guy that I think people have sort of forgotten about because he got there late. He was a junior college kid. But what Alabama's gotten back to, and Wimp was great at this, and you were part of the program at that time, is when they sign a junior college player, he's an impact guy.
Yeah, he's really good, and he's one of those that I kind of thought of that football to basketball comparison during warm-ups. And watching Nick Pringle, put his chin on the rim during warm-ups, and just physically so imposing, so athletic. He's got some size to him, and he's played really well, and he's got an opportunity to play some more minutes with Charles Bediako being out with a foot injury. And Charles, I believe, will be back this week and is expected to be ready to go for the opener against Longwood on Monday, a week from tonight. But Nick Pringle has stepped up and played well when he's been given the opportunity. When I look at this roster and I look at how good I think they can be, I think, and this is one of the weakness, or I don't know if it's not a weakness, it's actually a strength, but it's a question mark I have. Is last I heard, you're only allowed to put 5 on the floor at a time,
right.
and there's only 200 minutes in a game, and you've got 12 guys on this roster that can all play. At a high level, that can win at a high level in major college basketball in the Southeastern Conference, and Nate Oates isn't going to play 12.
No.
And so how he gets to probably 9, there'll be games where you go 8, there'll be games where you go 10. I think maybe 9-man rotation is kind of where it'll settle in, and that's going to leave 3 guys out that are really good. Not in the rotation. So how the coaching staff figures that out will be interesting to see. But put that in the category of a great problem to have because Alabama has depth. They have talent. And with the way they play and practice, there are going to be some injuries, and we're seeing that right now with a couple guys out there that should be back. JQ should be back. So I think injuries will happen. It's just the nature of the game and the nature of the style of play. So it's important to have depth. But if you ask me who would be that 9, 10-man rotation with the 12 that Alabama has once JQ gets back, I can't answer it because all those guys, in my opinion, deserve to play.
Yeah, and I tell you what, Nate Oates, this is what's good about college basketball right now is the fact that, several years ago we didn't see this. We never saw these teams didn't have the ability to have these scrimmages with other teams, not just around the corner teams, but bringing teams in from far away and then having these exhibition games, which they've had. But it is a good thing for college basketball right now, and these teams really now – they're taking full advantage of all of these scrimmages and these exhibition games to find out a lot of these answers instead of doing them all in these preseasons.
Yeah, I agree. And to bring in a team like Southern Illinois, who is solid. I mean, they're a team out of the Missouri Valley Conference, which is one of your better mid-major conferences. They're expected to compete for the Missouri Valley Championship. So they are no slouch. They have veterans, and Alabama, I thought, handled them very well, even though it ended up only being a 9-point game. As y'all know, I mean, it was 21 points with about 4 minutes to go.
It was.
And Alabama didn't finish strong. They let off the gas pedal a little bit, turned it over late when Nate Oates went to his bench. And young players, it's just natural. You look up at the scoreboard, you're coasting, you're up 20. In a game where you don't shoot it well, but you're still up 20. Felt like it should have been about a 30, 35-point Alabama lead and win. It ends up only being 9. But the great thing about that is this is the time where you learn and get better, and those are teaching moments for a young team that you got to continue to play and keep the pedal down against a quality opponent. And even though the score was lopsided for the majority of the game, Southern Illinois is a quality opponent. And Alabama a year ago had the nation's number 1 strength of schedule. And when you look at this year's schedule, I think it'll be the same. I think Alabama, if not number 1 in the country, will be one of the toughest top non-conference schedules in the country. The SEC will be great again, even I think better than it's been in a few years, which is saying something. So Alabama's going to have to be ready to go each and every night, and can't wait to get it started officially in about a week.
Yeah, and think about this. Houston beat Duke in one of those secret scrimmages this week, and then Tennessee drilled Gonzaga in one of them, so that's a positive for the SEC. And again, you don't know how these scrimmages are handled, but it's still a positive with the talent level that Alabama is going to play against and the talent level in the SEC. And before we let you go, we haven't talked about him. That shows the depth of this team, but the video highlights I saw, and then checking and reading about what people, their observations, sound like Rylan Griffin was shooting it like Brian Pasick.
I'm glad that he is a much better player and shooter than me. Speaking of the number 3 recruiting class, and all these guys are better than I thought, he is another one that I before I had a chance to see him play in several practices and now in an exhibition game, I thought, okay, he's maybe a guy that's not going to break into the rotation, but he can really shoot it. He can guard. He's athletic. He's a terrific young player, and I think he's got a bright future. And he was one of the bright spots shooting the ball on Saturday. He goes, I think, 2 for 5. Alabama only made 3 threes in the game, which was a problem last year, and it was a problem Saturday. But I do not see 3-point shooting being an issue for this Alabama team this season. Maybe there'll be some nights where they're cold. But for the most part, I think this team has a chance to be a really good 3-point percentage shooting team. They're going to shoot a lot, but I think they're going to make a lot this year, which will be a nice change from last year where they really struggled from deep.
And one more observation, because I saw that he shot it well and he was much more efficient, and I had a chance to speak with him in Birmingham. But does Noah Clowney seem much more comfortable to you? Or excuse me, I'm sorry, Noah Gurley. Pardon me.
Yeah,
yes, I'm sorry.
The Noahs, both of them, they can play. But Noah Gurley is a better player than he was a year ago. He was really good at Furman at the mid-major level and had a lot of success against SEC teams. In Alabama, when he played against Alabama, played really well against Bama a couple of times, Auburn, and last year had some moments. But it is different going from Furman to not just Alabama, but the nation's number 1 toughest schedule in the country. So he had some ups and downs, and he's really worked hard at his game, and he's a much better player than he was a year ago. And you're right, he's one of those that kind of gets forgotten, but he can guard, he can rebound. He's one of the few guys that can back you down and post you up, which is a kind of a lost art of college and professional basketball in this day and age. But he's really worked hard on his shot, has a lot more confidence shooting it, and he's a veteran guy who wants to win, and you can't have too many of those types.
No, you can't. Great leader as well. Great stuff. Brian Pasek talking some Alabama hoops with us. As he said, a week from today against Longwood, November the 7th, the University of Alabama will be taking the floor at Coleman Coliseum, 7:30 tip-off. Brian, we really appreciate the time, man. Thank you, man, and look forward to speaking with you again soon about some Tide hoops.
I look forward to it. Always enjoy being on with you guys. Thanks.
All right, thanks. Brian Pasnick with us. Let's get our break in. When we come back, we've got to crown a Team of the Week, or is it Team of the Weeks? We'll be right back.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
We're beginning to wind it down pretty quick now. I had one wreck, Maysville Road and Ingram Road, that reported with an injury, who had a tractor-trailer stall, 72 on the backside of Chapman Mountain. That one may still be blocking up a traffic lane. Everybody else scrambling, trying to get in on time. You be careful if you're in that group. Popeye's $6 Big Box is back with 2 pieces of that crispy, hand-breaded Louisiana seasoned chicken, 2 sides and a buttermilk biscuit. Popeye's University and George, 72 in Jeff and North Parkway. Captain Nick in the Popeyes Skywatch Traffic Center.
Hi, I'm Capri, and the little thing I love about the Chick-fil-A Grilled Spicy Deluxe is the chicken. They actually put it on the grill, cooked it in the sauce. It's definitely a good grilled spicy sandwich.
Hey, I'm Michelle, and a little thing I love about the Chick-fil-A Grilled Spicy Deluxe is it's spicy and it's full of flavor. When you pair that with the Kale Crunch Salad, it's just good.
Order a grilled spicy deluxe sandwich on the Chick-fil-A app today. Available for a limited time. Real guests paid for their testimonials.
Saturday, November 12th in Jasper, Alabama, just minutes from Lewis Smith Lake, prime riverfront property will be offered at a one-day liquidation sales event. Getting killed in the stock market? Buy something real, something you can enjoy with your family today. Buy waterfront. This RV-friendly gated community has great kayaking, fishing, and wildlife, along with a large community area for social gatherings. Estate-sized parcels from $29.9 and direct waterfront parcels from $79.9. Prime waterfront properties on rushing water in a gated, gorgeous setting. Individual RV sites with utility hookups, no time limit to build, minutes from shopping, hospitals, schools, and neighboring a beautiful country club. One-day liquidation sale November 12th. Estate-sized parcels from $29.9 or direct waterfront parcels from $79.9. Call or click 877bigview.com for more information and to schedule an appointment. Don't miss this amazing opportunity on estate-size or waterfront parcels. That's 877-BIG-VIEW. Call or click 877bigview.com.
Specializing in simple and affordable rentals, McCurry Van and Car Rental can make sure you have just the right vehicle for your next family vacation, weekend getaway, or if you just need transportation while your vehicle is being repaired. McCurry carries Ford Transit vans and Mercedes Sprinter vans, trucks and work vans, and more. And they offer discounted rental rates for long-term rentals. Now with 4 locations: Athens, Muscle Shoals, Coleman, and Huntsville. Log on McCurryRentals.com to make your reservation now. That's McCurryRentals.com.
The kitchen is the heart of any home. It's where the family gathers. It's where kids discover old recipes and make them their own. Just starting out or just now getting started on the dream kitchen you've always wanted?
I'm Chris Haygood, and from all of us here at Bob Wallace Appliance to the home builders and the homeowners of the Huntsville area, a heartfelt thank you for buying local. We're in Huntsville, Florence, and Coleman, and online at bobwallaceappliance.com.
Have you ever turned your back on God? Have you ever absolutely known the right thing to do and just turned around and walked away in disobedience? I know that I have. Aren't we thankful for our great and merciful God who loves us and forgives us and remembers our sin no more? I'm so thankful that His mercies are fresh every day. I need that, and I suspect you do too. Hey, I'm John Dees, pastor of Cross Point Church, and if you're looking for a church home, come see us. We're smack dab across the street from the YMCA in Madison, and check us out at cpcfamily.org.
AVIQ.
Who is
is AVIQ?
AVIQ is audiovisual the intelligent way, where we put our IQ to work for your AV needs. With more than 100 years combined experience in audio, video, and automation, our team of experts is dedicated to one thing, helping you discover technological solutions that make your home special. Once you experience a game or a movie on one of our state-of-the-art home theater systems, you may never leave the house again. AVIQ can build the entire system for you or provide the quality components if you're a do-it-yourselfer. But AVIQ is more than just home theater and state-of-the-art sound systems. We offer a variety of control options for home technology. Energy efficiency, heightened security, and improved quality of life are all attainable through the automation of home systems. Intuitive and user-friendly control is our main priority in designing a system that meets your needs. Don't just take our word for it. You need to see it to believe it. Come visit us at our state-of-the-art showroom on University, just east of Jim and Nick's, across from AT&T, or visit aviqhsv.com.
Did you know the state's top-ranked private school is here in Huntsville? What about one of the nation's few Orton Gillingham Academy accredited schools? At Randolph School, our experienced teachers and coaches challenge and nurture students as they prepare for college and life. Our pre-K through 12 school includes Green Gate School at Randolph, serving students with dyslexia. Parents, we know that you are your child's biggest advocate, and we invite you to explore your education options. Schedule a tour at randolphschool.net.
It's time for tomorrow's headlines today with Scott Theisen and Drew DeArmond on 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Each week, they lace it up. Each week, we'll present our Team of the Week.
Get it in here! I got one thing to say!
So it's time for the Bryant Bank Team of the Week presentation.
Indeed, it is. And I said going into the break, it could be team or it could be teams of the week.
Yep.
And one is a football team of the week headed to the playoffs. The other, all they managed to do last week,
Blue Trophy,
was not only win a Blue Trophy, but move up a class to win a Blue Trophy. They were 4A last year, 5A this year, and won a Blue Trophy.
And
so,
even more impressive, Scott, they went 3-0 to win the state championship and didn't lose a set.
So,
There you
congratulations to the Westminster Christian Academy Wildcats,
And
our
Holly Richards.
volleyball team of the week, for winning a state championship.
46-9.
Yeah, I mean, all you do is win a state champion. That's pretty good resume to be a team of the week. I mean,
Meg Pepperella, two-time MVP.
Yeah, and then on the football side, they're headed to the playoffs this week.
And they've saved their best football for last. They won the two most important games of the year from the standpoint of momentum. They were extremely impressive in a comeback, a 31-3 run to vanquish Austin on the road, 45-31, which was the impetus to winning this playoff berth.
Yep.
Because they had to win to get in, and they needed some tiebreakers, but they won those. And because of their win, especially over Bob Jones earlier in the year. And then they continued their momentum by just eviscerating a former team of the week, the Hazel Green Trojans, 63-7. Of course, Carlin Long, running back, had 4 touchdowns, over 180 yards rushing last week against Hazel Green. So a lot of momentum going for them. They're the one Huntsville City school that qualified for the playoffs. They got their 6th win of the year. Really one play away from having 7 wins. And so because of that, the Huntsville Crimson Panthers are going to be our ESPN 97.7 The Zone Bryant Bank Team of the Week in football. But, of course, again, we laud the state championship and the unbelievable back-to-back. Repeating is very hard, and especially going up a class to do it. And it was an all-North Alabama final with Arab having a very good team in their own right, never having won it before, but certainly reaching the finals. But Holly Richards and the Lady Wildcats of Westminster Christian Academy are our other Bryant Bank ESPN 97.7 The Zone Team of the Week.
Yeah.
Both of these programs will be receiving $500 due to our friends at Bryant Bank.
Yeah, we could not do it without them. Don't forget, there's 2 convenient locations in Huntsville, downtown, and the one on Bailey Cove. There's soon to be a nice, beautiful location opening up in Athens. It is Bryant Bank. We could not do them. This is year 3 of this partnership that we have had with Bryant Bank, and each year they step up and make it even bigger. And this year, $500 to our Team of the Week Team of the Week winners. So congratulations, Huntsville High, Westminster Christian Academy. We're headed your way for very special presentations. Let's go out to the phone lines. Wolverine Dan with us this morning. Good morning, sir.
What's up, Dan?
Gentlemen, there's nothing worse as a sports fan. You guys probably have witnessed this, maybe not as much as I have, but having a team that's really has not been competitive for a very long time and trying to root for them. Don't you agree?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, well, with that said, my Team of the Week is the Minnesota Vikings.
Oh, they're they're on fire. 6-1, first time since 09.
And so is that Biloxi ticket, 40-1.
I was gonna say Dan put money on to win the Super Bowl. He's on fire right now.
Hey, dude, I'm there. You know, they get a bye. You know, hey, you never know.
Congratulations so far, Dan.
Yeah, that's
keep those fingers and toes crossed.
One of the uglies we didn't get to mention was the aftermath between Michigan State and Michigan. What happened in the tunnel there?
That's terrible.
Michigan State suspending up to four players right now. Yep. Could be more for that ugly incident there after the Michigan State game.
Can't be doing that.
Let's get. I was gonna say let's get a break in, but we're done.
Well, but I will say this. They tried to put Jermaine Burton in jail. I don't hear them saying put the Michigan State kids in jail. You know, it is what it is.
After a long, hot summer, there's nothing